Hello, everybody. Welcome again to module 3, that is linking psychology concepts with applications. And today we'll discuss the unit 4 in the module, that is motivation in sports. And as you know, I'm Deepak Mishra, scientist, Department of Sports Psychology, Sports Authority of India, Netaji Subhash National Institute of Sport. So, first of all, we'll discuss what is motivation. So motivation, as the definition goes, is an internal state of processes that energizes, directs, and maintains goal-related behavior. Okay, so there are three terms: energizes, directs, and maintains. So motivation, one part of motivation is it energizes the goal-directed behavior. Second part is it directs the goal-directed behavior, and third part is it maintains. So all these three parts are equally important. Okay, so motivation is derived from the Latin word that is mover, means meaning to move. So as we saw in the definition, it consists of two dimensions. First one is intensity, how much the how much energy is being put by the how much energy is being put by the athlete. That intensity of the effort is a is a is a indication of how motivated he is. Then another part is direction. So motivation motivation provides direction. So the direction to reach a specific goal. So that direction part is also a part of motivation. So it has got two parts, as we saw in the definition: energizes and then directs. It energizes the behavior. Motivation energizes the behavior, it provides intensity to the behavior, and another part is it provides direction to the behavior, so that the direction to reach a specific goal. And always performance is a result of both learning and motivation. As we saw in our last lecture, learning is equally important in the performance, and then motivation to perform the learned task at the best level, like we saw in the autonomous stage. When it reaches the autonomous stage, so motivation matters a lot. So in a skilled performance, both things are equally important. Learning and motivation both are equally important. Then what are the types of motivation? The first one is intrinsic motivation. So it is the motivation that comes from within the individual. So intrinsic means coming from within. So it comes from within the individual. Intrinsically motivated individuals engage in activities freely with a full sense of personal control. So this kind of individual who are intrinsically motivated, they engage in activities on their own. They engage in the activity on their own. They don't have to be pushed from somewhere. They don't have to be pushed from some external stimuli. They engage in the activity because they enjoy the activity. So it intrinsic motivation causes the individual to enjoy the activity. The aspects are why this intrinsic motivation is seen is because of they want it pushes the individuals towards knowledge. So sometimes the athlete wants to learn a new skill. just 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 the player of just the pleasure of learning a new skill, towards having knowledge of a new thing, that is a cause of intrinsic motivation. And then second one is towards accomplishment, means the the get mastery of learning. The mastery of a new skill itself is a pleasure that is derived. So mastery of a new skill is accomplishment, and then the pleasure of being master of an activity. So both things, mastery of an activity and the pleasure of gaining mastery over something, so that is the cause of intrinsic motivation. Then we come to extrinsic motivation. Extrinsic means external or outside, that motivation that comes from outside the individual. It refers to the motivation that comes from external sources like awards, trophies, money, praise, social approval, and fear of punishment. So monetary reward is also there. Monetary rewards are also there, and then social rewards. Social rewards. So some kind, anything that is coming from outside the individual, that is causing extrinsic motivation. Okay, so types are external regulation. When there is an external regulation, means the athlete is performing the activity to find a external reward. So it is externally regulated. The, we can say, the locus of control, the locus of control for that activity is external to the person, either to find a reward in terms of monetary gains or in terms of social approval. So that is of external regulation. And the second one is identified regulation. Identified regulation, what does this mean? Is the athlete engages in an activity which he doesn't find very much interesting. The athlete engages in an activity he doesn't find very much interesting, but it has been identified to lead to a desired goal. The activity has been identified to reach a desired goal. So that's why he is engaging in that activity. An identified goal, that is again either a monetary reward or a social approval kind of thing. So it has been identified to reach the goal. So identified regulation. So these are the two types of extrinsic motivation. When we, like, if we try to categorize the athletes in terms of these two motivations, what we see that as the definition goes, extrinsic motivation is not only the monetary reward and social approval. Okay, that is external regulation part of extrinsic motivation. But then if the individual is engaging in activity which is known to reach to external reward, then he doesn't find that activity interesting, but still he is engaging in that activity because the activity has been identified to reach a external goal, reach a rewarding goal. Then also it will be called, the athlete will be called having extrinsic motivation. Okay, so if we categorize the athletes accordingly, we'll find that in the initial phases, the most of the athletes are in this kind of having this kind of motivation. Initially, most of the athletes are having this kind of motivation, and only after a certain time, after it's kind of a progression. It's not like somebody is all the time having this intrinsic motivation and somebody is all the time having extrinsic motivation, but it is a progression. Basically, it is a progression. The athletes starts from extrinsic motivation, and then they gradually start developing intrinsic motivation. So we cannot divide the athletes, we cannot categorize the athletes according to the type of motivation. Initially, maybe the assessment or everything is showing that the person is extrinsically motivated, but what happens most of the time, what you will find is athlete himself is in a phase where we cannot expect him to be intrinsically motivated, because he has not reached that level of performance. So initially we have to wait to let him reach that level of performance, then only his type of motivation will turn into an intrinsic one. So that type of understanding needs to be developed for the sports. And then achievement motivation. Achievement motivation. What is achievement motivation? It refers to a person's effort to master a task, achieve excellence, overcome obstacles, perform better than others, and take pride exercising that. So it is the motivation to achieve something. Motivation to achieve something. The achievement might be mastering a task, achieving excellence at a task, overcoming the obstacles, performing better. So this is achievement motivation. What are the characteristics? The people who have high level of achievement motivation are highly persistent. So they keep on doing the activity. They keep on doing the activity. They are persistent at the activity until they become successful. Second one is they have exceptional performance. Their performance are exceptional. They complete activities at a high rate. So activity completion rate is very high. And then they are more task oriented. They focus at the task. They focus at the task at hand. So they're more task oriented. They're risk taking. They want to take the risk and challenge it. Then only, because whenever there is a challenge, then only some kind of achievement is found. If there is no challenge, no achievement will be there. If there is no risk, no achievement will be there. So this kind of people always look for risk, and the risks are calculated ones. The risks are calculated ones. It is not like some very big risk they will take. The risk will be calculated. One person is calculative, and they can calculate what risk can be taken and what cannot. So risk-taking behavior will be there, calculated risk-taking behavior will be taken, and they will like to have challenges, and then they take responsibility for their own actions. So they know what they have done, whatever they have done, they will understand that this behavior will lead to the achievement or not, and they will only go for the behavior which will procure them a achievement. Then a very famous theory of motivation, a very famous theory of motivation is Maslow's need hierarchy theory. Maslow's need hierarchy theory. So Maslow has divided needs into 5 categories. You all must have seen this. First one is physiological or survival needs. Second one, safety need. Third one is love, affection, and belongingness needs. Fourth one is esteem needs, and fifth one is self-actualization needs. So, like last slide, I was talking the extrinsic motivation and intrinsic motivation. So we can say कि up to the level of this up to the level of third need from the beginning, up to the level of third need from the beginning, it is mostly extrinsic motivation. Up to the third level, it is mostly extrinsic motivation. And then when you reach to esteem needs, where even esteem needs half part of it are the whole, because one part of esteem need is related to self and another is related to social approval. Self-esteem needs are divided into 2 parts. One is related to self-esteem, and another is related to the social approval. So up to that part, even the fourth category can be taken into extrinsic motivation. But the fifth one, self-actualization, is the part where intrinsic motivation kicks in. Self-actualization. So here the individual in self-actualization, the individual is trying to actualize himself, actualize his value. What means up to what level he can go. Up to what level he can go. There are athletes trying different. When the athletes reach this dimension, they try to find a cause to sustain their performance, and this cause can be anything. We have heard of an athlete in European countries, in one of the European countries, which is very much war afflicted country. So the athlete decided to use the prize money to create war-free zone for children in his country. Okay, so he decided that whatever prize he wins, whatever medal he wins, he will use the prize money to create war-free zones, to create war-free zones for the children, war-free play zones for the children in his country. So that was the motivation, and that person went on winning successive Olympic medals. So that is something the athlete gets from within. That's intrinsic motivation. He's developing some motivation for he's fixing some goal for himself, which keeps on motivating him, so that it never gets finished. It's a huge task. It never gets finished, and it keeps on motivating the athlete to perform better and better at successive games. Okay, and then self-actualization. Sometimes the athletes are they become philosophical. So again, philosophical means any kind of philosophical. Maybe what we call self-actualization basically is the athlete gets into a bit philosophical things. So this is where the athlete is going into a self-actualization mode. So that is a very important theory which is applicable to sports a lot. So what are the techniques of motivation? What are the techniques of motivation, and what is the need? Because the primary function is to somehow alter the existing behavior, because they see that motivation is something that is all the time needed. Sometimes the athlete is means not willing to perform that task daily. They have to go every day and they have to perform the same task daily, and so that has to be done. They have to be motivated to keep on doing the thing, because it is said ki, means if you keep on doing the same thing again and again, then only you can excel at something. Okay, that thing is there. Then we have athletes who have performed at a certain level, at a very good level, but they are not going above that. So lot of changes are required, lot of changes. And maybe maybe one athlete is very good, is very good at everything, and we want him to perform better. Our goal is initially to lift an athlete to the highest level of performance, like Commonwealth Games, Asian Games, and Olympic Games. We want one athlete to go through all this and win a medal at Olympic. That's it. But that's not the final thing. What we want is he should be winning medals at successive Olympics. We want such a person who can win the medals at successive Olympics. So what will make the Olympic, because the the way the athletes are rewarded, if an athlete is winning a medal at Olympics, he has got almost everything whatever he has desired in life. So what for he will go to next Olympic. So that kind of thinking needs to be developed. That some kind of thing should be there for which he goes in next Olympic, and then next Olympic, and then next Olympic. So that kind of thing needs to be developed. And then the coaches must know what kind of approach is going to be used. Either it is an enhancing approach or a corrective approach. Enhancing approach means, are they going to use a performance enhancement approach? Are they going to use a corrective approach where some faulty performance is being corrected? So that kind of approach needs to be decided from the beginning only. And how do we make the changes? So what kind of techniques might be there? One is goal setting. So goal setting, as you all know, it's a behavioral technique used for enhancing performance. Goal setting is a behavioral technique used for enhancing performance. Goals influence behavior directly by bringing an athlete's attention to important elements of the skill, increasing motivation, persistence, and facilitating the development of new learning strategies. So goal means goals. The goals actually goals are the goals are the outcomes. Goals are the outcomes which which drive the behavior. Goals are the outcomes which drive the behavior. So goal is something synonymous to motivation. Goal is like, when we define motivation, we say it drives behavior. Motivation drives behavior. The same way, goal is something that drives behavior. So goal is synonymous to motivation. So what are the types of goals that are there? One is outcome goals. So outcome goals are results, basically results of competitive events. Results of competitive events are called outcome goals. Results of an activity are called outcome goals. Then the second one is performance goals. Outcome goals, when you talk of outcome goals are results of an activity, and there some interpersonal comparison is involved. So outcome, like he performed better than the opponent. He performed the best he got a medal at a event. So that is outcome goal. Then performance goals is the second goal. Performance goal is where the athlete is trying to do better than his own last performance. So performance goals mean the athlete is trying to do better than his last performance. There is no interpersonal comparison involved. The athlete is trying to do better than himself at successive events. So that is a performance goal. And then process goal. Process goal is completing the process, completing the process. Like when we try, like we think of doing any of the activities, like maybe shooting or archery kind of thing. Then what you do, you first have to stand, then you have to prepare, then you have to shoot, and then you have to come back. So that is the process. So process goals, each of the elements of the process have to be perfectly mastered. So that is process goal. And what comes out of this discussion is, if the athlete is successful in setting and meeting process goals, improved performance and outcomes will be the result. So if the athlete is able to meet his process goals perfectly, obviously the performance goals and outcome goals both will be achieved. When we talk of what a sports psychologist is actually supposed to do, the sports psychologist is not supposed to find means the outcome goals, or even not the outcome goals. The sports psychologist is not supposed to find the outcome goals, but what we are supposed to do is to look at the process. We are supposed to look at the process. So how the process of performing an activity is going, so that we can break it down into steps. And we can train the athletes to master the successive steps. Because mastering the successive stages is the only guarantee that the performance and outcome goals will be achieved. So the thing we need to look upon is mastering the process of doing something. So we'll break down the process into steps, and we'll train the athletes to master the process. And what else happens with this process, mastering the process, is when we see lot of athletes, lot of people complain that when the athlete goes into, like if we're in a game of shooting or in a game of archery, what happens, or any other game, what happens, the athlete keeps on keeps on thinking about his last performance. If he didn't do well, if something went wrong, he keeps on thinking about the last performance. Actually, what happens, how it can be removed is, if the athlete has been trained in the process in such a way, if he has been trained in the process in such a way that he keeps on thinking about completing the process perfectly, all that is there in his mind is completing the process in a perfect way. So there won't be any space left to think about the last bad performance. Okay, so the means training for process goal is a way to eliminate many other distractions, many other things which people keep complaining of. People keep thinking of how to eliminate that thing. But actually, engaging the athlete into a process goal, engaging the athlete into steps of completing a process, is the way that we can eliminate this kind of negative thinking. So that's why it is very important. We have I hope we have another full lecture on goal setting, so you will come to know a lot about goal setting later. Then comes reward and punishment. So reward and punishment, reward its effects are long lasting than those of punishment. Punishment से इसका effect जो है वो बहुत ज़्यादा long lasting है. There are possible methods of participation and work incentive for future performances. So there can be two type of rewards. The same way we talked about this extrinsic motivation or something, extrinsic motivation. So there are material rewards in terms of prize money, material rewards in terms of award, material rewards in terms of something like that, and non-material reward in terms of praise, non-material reward in terms of social approval, not non-material rewards in terms of prestige. So these are the rewards and punishment. These are the rewards that can be used. And punishment. So punishment can be either, it is not that punishment what is generally talked of, like capital punishment kind of thing. It is not that punishment. Here it is used in a proper sports sense. The punishment is kind of, you must go back and find out what is reinforcement, positive and negative reinforcement. So punishment here is mostly negative reinforcement. Okay, so it can have both mental and physical elements. Mental element is when punishment is decided to be given, the athlete may be taken out of a context. So removing the athlete from a desired activity is a punishment. And then physical punishment may be making him do some extra exercise. So it is some kind of activity some kind of activity again, aimed at benefiting the athlete. It's not that capital punishment which is there. It is not that capital punishment which is there in the everywhere, like people are thinking, talking about it. It's the punishment we can better call it negative reinforcement, and it is mental or physical type of thing. Then next one is novelty in coaching. As we know, novelty in coaching. So novelty in coaching means the coach and the other staff is supposed to not allow boredom or monotony in coaching. So what should happen? There should be changes in teaching skills, training methods, and even the venue of practice. So as many changes that can happen so that boredom or monotony is not there, that will be a better motivational technique for the athlete. So even this kind of things can be used as a motivational technique. Teaching, changing the skill of changing the style of teaching skills, changing the style of training methods, and even venue of practice can be used as motivation. And the change should be there in both matter and method. So the skill that is being taught. So there should be a change in the matter that is being taught and the way the matter is being taught. Okay, so the content should be changed, and the way the content is presented, that also should be changed. So novelty in coaching is again a good motivational method. Simplification again to sustain the interest of the athlete, and it is their simplification is there to sustain the interest of the athlete. Because if we present a very complicated activity in front of the athlete, then the athlete might feel bored, might feel alienated. So if we break down the activity into simple steps, the athlete will be interested in completing the activity, and completing the activity, it will itself give him motivation, that itself gives him satisfaction, that will act as a motivation for completing the next part of the activity. So it sustains the interest of the activity. It should be there. Simplification should be there in the mind of the coaches and supporting staff right from the planning of training schedule. So when the training schedule is planned, right there, it should be thought about, and it should be there in the training schedule. The way I said, at least develop self-confidence, positive attitude, and take interest in learning the task. Because if the task is broken down into simple steps, athlete is able to complete the first step, so he will get a sense of mastery. He'll get a sense of mastery from completing that activity, and that sense of mastery will act as a motivation for starting the next activity. So simplification acts like that. And then another thing that should be very well taken care of is meet the demands of athletes' age and their development. So in the title you must have seen for different athletes, for different age groups, and from different localities, athletes are there of different age group, different skill level athletes are there. So accordingly, athletes age and their development, according to their age and according to their development level, the simplification should be done. If it is a grassroots level of athlete, the simplification should be at the grassroots level. Means it should be very simple. If the athlete is at intermediate level, we may break down. Maybe there is one activity we want to teach. So for grassroots level athlete, we'll break that down into 10 steps. If intermediate level of athlete, we will break it down into 5 steps, and for an elite athlete, we need to break it down to 3 or 2 steps. So athletes' age and their development level, maturity and communication skill needs to be taken care of while doing this. Simulated competition, you all know, competition type of situation is always motivating for the athlete, because when like means training situations are sometimes very monotonous. So in that kind of situation, that motivation is not generated. When we have a competition type of, what we see in our current scenario, like there are instances where we can say, when we talk of maybe javelin throw team of Germany. So there are in that national camp, I think 5-6 throwers are there, and out of those 5-6, 4 are 1, 2, 3, 4 rankers of the world. So you can imagine what kind of situation might be there. It's always an Olympic going on in the training camp, isn't it? Always an Olympic going on in the training camp. That's what we tell the athletes here, because we means it is good. With sometimes, if you look at the camps, what you see that some of the athletes, some senior athlete is there, out of respect. Some senior athlete is there who has been to Olympics, who has been to many major events. So out of respect, what happens? Most of the athletes try to follow them, but following is some following should be something that means it should be followed in a way that other athletes are also reaching at his level. Means he should be, it should not be following like means you should not try to excel him. It should be like following. It should be like following that means how means I will do my best. Let's see if the person can do better than me. So what will happen if a person has already been to Olympics? He must be performing at a very good level, and you try to excel him. Another athlete tries to excel him. What happens? Then that recruited athlete will also see that I am getting challenged. Then he will try to perform better. In turn, what will happen? Both the reputed athlete and the new athlete's performance will enhance further. So that is what happens in a simulated competitive situation. We need to have a simulated competitive situation. We need to play Olympics in our national camps. We need to play Olympics in our camps and national camps. Okay, so means that's what simulated competition can do to athletes. Then democratic coaching. All of us know the coach should be democratic in his approach. He should not be dominating in nature. The coach and athlete should together take decision. What is important here is many psychological techniques. When you talk of many psychological techniques, one thing that is very commonly told while teaching a psychological technique is others person point of view should also be taken into consideration while making something for the person. Okay, why? Why? Because when you do something for yourself, when you are sitting in front of a psychologist and psychologist is asking you that this is the schedule I am preparing for you, and is that fine, or you would like to make some changes in it? So what the feeling you get is, it has been prepared by myself with my consent, so it's my responsibility to follow this. Okay, it's my responsibility to follow this. The same happens in democratic coaching. If the athlete is being included in all decisions and all discussions, then the athlete will feel that he has decided the thing for himself and he needs to follow that. So that's a great motivator. Individual attention should be given. So individual has been coached by him, individual attention should be given. He should observe the individual differences among them and use the motivational techniques to motivate them according to their different needs. That is again very important. As the topic has been decided, that according to different level of athletes, like it's not like all the athletes have the same needs. All the athletes doesn't have same needs. Every individual, if you when you are practicing and you go into the depth of the things, you'll find that every individual has got a very different kind of need. The newcomer is having a different kind of need, and the most elite athlete has got a different kind of need, and both are opposite poles of each other, almost opposite poles of each other. What we need to do is we cannot fetch the things actually. We cannot fetch the things actually for them. But what we can do, we can break down the needs into something we can do for it. We can break down the needs into something we can do for it. Okay, so maybe the athlete has come with a problem of aggression. Athlete has come with a problem of aggression. Athlete has come with some other kind of problem, which is a family problem or something, which is means their families are not there with us, so we cannot intervene at family level very easily. We can try over phone and we can try that, but we cannot do that on means very easily. So what we can do is how that thing is affecting that athlete, how that thing is affecting the athlete, that we can try to work upon, so that athletes problem can be removed. We won't be able to remove the actual problem, but we will be able to remove the effect of the problem on the athlete. So that's what it should be, individualized that. Then knowledge of result of feedback. So knowledge of result is equally important. Knowledge of result is equally motivating. So there will be internal feedback. Athletes get a feedback by themselves. They are after performance or within the performance, they are able to find out how they are performing. So that internal feedback is always there, and then external feedback by the coach should also be given. That is again a very good motivator. So the external feedback, as we saw in the last lecture, two types of feedback are there in this external feedback. One is the knowledge of result. So you performed, how you perform. So with result you come to know the end result of the performance, and then the knowledge of process. The coach can tell how it was in comparison to last performance. How the performance was there, how the performance was in comparison to last performance, means performance goals. We saw that in goal setting. So performance goals, knowledge of the process will lead to the performance goals. The coach will be telling about their performance in comparison to last any other event, and knowledge of result will be dependent upon the result of the game. So that is a part of external feedback. And then counseling again is a very important point. It denotes an act of establishing rapport with the athlete by the coach. I personally request all the coaches to go for counseling, and everyone who is related to sportsman, I personally request everybody to go for counseling, because what happens is a situation, we might think of a situation like you are there in your family and your brother or sister is asking you about some problem. What happens? You give them a suggestion and that works. So isn't that counseling? That is counseling. You are able to solve their problem. That is counseling. Means everybody at their level are able to counsel people. Everybody at their own level are able to counsel people. So that skill can be used, and Another, even if you are not able to solve the problem, even if you are not able to solve the problem of the athlete, if you ask the athlete about what is going on over a period of time, if you talk to athlete about the psychological things, over a period of time, the athlete realizes that the coach is genuinely interested in me. One thing. And second thing is, the athlete realizes if the coach is regularly asking me about all these things must be important. So half of the psychological problems are solved when they are recognized as important. So that sense of that that sense of importance is generated through the simple asking on part of the coach. That can be very easily achieved. The coach should be attentive to the personal problems of the athlete and must pay individual attention to each athlete's performance. So each athlete's performance, the regions for changes in the performance, the region for decline in performance may be very much individual to an athlete. So the athlete the coach needs to take care of all this, and the way I described it just now, that if the coach is simply asking the athlete about means what kind of things are going on in his mind, there are two things achieved. One is the athlete realizes that the coach is genuinely interested in him. So if he is not telling the thing in the first meeting only, he will be able to tell the coach the thing in the successive meetings. First thing. And the second thing is the athlete himself realizes that there is something important with this thing. Means the mind is also important. So they start taking care of their mind. And I told you half of the problem is solved when you start thinking about your mind. It means what is mindfulness basically? Mindfulness is minding your own mind. Minding your own mind. When you start minding your own mind, you become mindful. And when you are mindful, you can solve your problem on your own. Most of the problems on your own. So other tips for motivation enhancement, pep talks are there. So pep talks are provided when a group or individual is given is given we can given a energy booster kind of talk, so that they're pepped up for performance, they're energized for performance. So that pep talk kind of thing, the video recording. What we generally do when there is little time and like 10-15 minute time is there, what we will do, we'll find a video, either we'll make it on our own, or we'll find a video, we'll start the video, it will be only for 5 minutes. That video will go on for 5 minutes, and after showing that video for 5 minutes, we'll start explaining about it. So pep talk and video recording both are used together, and it works very nicely. So it works very nicely. So means the very simple things works very nicely. So this kind of things should also be used. And then life stories of great sports person. Athletes are always motivated by sports, great sports person. So that should always also be used often. So thanks a lot for the patient listening. You can again go back to the theories I have talked about. There are a lot of theories related to achievement motivation, intrinsic motivation, extrinsic motivation, and Maslow's need hierarchy. A lot of theories are there, a lot of developments are there. You can go through all that, and if you find something that is intriguing, then you can always come back to me and we can discuss about it and find out. So thanks a lot. I'll sign out. Thanks a lot.